مثلث Hullin Daf Chavav Amud Aleph, 2 lines down. Va'amar Rav Nachman Amar bar Abba Ravua. Temed, we're still talking about temed, which is like the sediments of wine. Shalakahu bekesef maaser. You bought it with maaser sheni money. Ubasof means then it became fermented like wine. Kana maaser that now it has the kitusha of maaser. Might have a wine. Igla milta de mafred de pereo. Retroactively, it is revealed that when you bought it, it was going to be a eligible food slash fruit product. Until now, it was wine sediments. It wasn't anything. But now that it fermented, it has now become eligible and immediately grasps the status of Ma'aser Shani. Elamatitin the Tanita Hachmitz in Lahmitz Lo, Dima Ishav Kehav Mahmitz. Why did I Mishnah mention the case only if it fermented, but if not, not? You can't purchase it. Why don't you just leave it to ferment? The Gemara says, "Amarabba kishijiyah mimena b'kosh lahmitz." To a case where you already tried to ferment, it didn't work yet, so obviously it's not fermentable. Rama didn't answer. Hamani Rabbi Hanan ben Nuri, he's according to Rabbi Hanan Nuri. The town he says, "Shalashal lugin ma'im haser kurtov." If you have a case of 3 lugin of water minus a kurtov, which is a minute amount, and this water is drawn water that's eligible for maaser. Shenafala tocha kurtov yain. So now you have a 3 lug of water subtracting 1 kortob, which is a tiny amount, well, let's call it an ounce, and then you have an ounce of wine that fell into this to complete this 3 lugin. Umar ehen kimar yain. Now it still looks like wine. Then after mikveh, then if those 3 lugin fell into mikveh, which needs 40 sa'ah of drawn water. Lo paslu, it does not make it pasul. Shosha lugin ma'im haser kortov. You have 3 lugin of drawn water with minus a kortov. Then a kortov of milk fell inside. So that ounce that fell inside is now milk, not wine. Now it looks like water, but nafzul mikveh that fell into water. Lapazdu also does not make it pasul from mikveh. He says no. It goes after the parents. And now we see him, he goes according to the parents. Over here as well, going to the parents. The high. The reason why the temed is considered uh not eligible for Master Shani because it looks like water. مثلا بتيجي arguing some نظرات عمر ربيع زار بيع زار هوزا كل مدين مش إما فرشين عضلات بمكان آخر. Everybody agrees that you cannot separate one portion of timid sediments from another portion of sediments. إلا إمكان يحميت unless the first portion fermented. Now Kasavar he holds below يحميت محوكت is the case where he did not fermented. بعد كان لما حيب البناء البناء به that he does not require separation only when it's from the unfermented portion itself. أما معلمة, but from other unfermented locations, not a problem. دي معناتها ما فيش منها يبقى يسور. Hey, sorry, it is a problem. It is a problem because we're worried that he might come celebrate an eligible portion on behalf of the portion that's not required, or vice versa. So we see regarding Tuma and Tahara, there's a difference between water versus other liquids. Water that has Tuma can be purified, while other liquids cannot. So now we're going to bring that up now with Timid. Tenorbanan. Ha Timid ad means if Timid got Tuma before it became fermented. Mashikov mine, you can bring it into contact with water to purify it. So basically, you're koshering tameh water with regular water by bringing it into contact. Mishahmid going to become fermented, and mashikov mine you can't purify it with water. Marababa says lotion that only applies. It's only eligible to purify unfermented tameh. That was tameh only if you put tahar water over the sediments. And that makes it tameh. But if you pour over tameh water in the first place, then you cannot bring kosher that water out. Also, Rav Gaviya Mvekatila, Amar Lishmateh Commander Rashi, he repeated this. How come you can't use it if it's initially tameh water? How come you can't fix that? Since the tameh water is heavy, it settles at the bottom of the container. And therefore that makes the fruit extracts pieces float to the top. And therefore the temed's contact with the mikveh water is ineffective. Yachi, if that's the case, Tahorim will self into Nami, even vice versa, if you put Tahar water into this as well. But it must be that it has to be blended well and not just on top of each other. So it's over here, if it was initially Tameh and blended, it would be able to be rinsed and mixed up. Okay. No Mishnah. Kol makom sheyesh mecher and knas, v'chol makom sheyesh knas and mecher. Continuing this double standards of things. Whenever you're able to sell something, sell, there's no knas. Whenever there's a knas, there's no sale. What's that talking about? That's talking about a Jewish girl who is a minor. So now a minor is technically under 12. Then she has na'arut. She's a na'ara for 6 months from 12 to 12 and a half. And then she's bagrut. She's considered an adult. Now, the Torah says that a father can sell his minor daughter as a shifcha, as a maidservant, either until 6 years, or unless she's redeemed earlier, or if she marries the master, or the master's son, or the master dies, or Yovel comes, or she becomes a na'ara. So, as long as she's a minor, she can be sold. Now, there is a 50 shekel knas fine that if someone were to rape or seduce this girl, he has to pay to the father, which means only if when she's a na'ara. So if she is not a na'ara, because she's a minor, then there's no knas. And then at the same time, not connected, but because she's a minor and not an na'ara, she could be sold as well. So not that they're connected, but if she's at the age of a minor where she's able to be sold, there's no knas if she's raped or seduced. And if she is a fine, which means she is a na'ara, then she can no longer be sold as a shifcha. Okay. Marav Yudah Marav. Zud the Vrim Meir is according to the Meir. Vachamim Hamrachim said, Yesh Knas Mkom Mecher, there's a fine even when you can sell. Tanya, Ketana Bibat Yom Echad Ash Zerish Teisarot, a girl from when she's 1 day old until she has hair down there, Yesh La Mecher, she's able to be sold. The En La Knas, but she's not able to make someone chayav a knas. Fine if she's seduced or raped. Mishtavish Tisarot, she take better when she has 2 hairs until she becomes full adult. Yesh La Knas En La Mecher, she would require a fine in certain scenarios, but she's not able to be sold. Div Mer Kon Mer, Shehar Mer said, Koma Kom Sheyesh Mecher, and Knas, V'Choma Kom Sheyesh Knas, and Mecher, like we said in the Mishnah. Chachamim Rachim say no. Tanali Kash Shlosh Shanim B'Yam Echad Esh Veger, Yesh La Knas, any girl from 3 till adult, if she's raped or seduced, there is a fine. Knas in Mechelo, 1 second, only Knas, but not a sale. Hema af Knas b'mkom Mecher. No, rather, there, even in the case of a sale, there's also a Knas. Okay, new Mishnah. Kol makom sheyesh mi'un, en halitza, v'chol makom sheyesh halitza, en mi'un. Okay, more halachot between a minor and na'ara. So, in general, there's a halacha of yibum. So, we're having a crash course on Shas in these Mishnayot. So, in mi'un, if there is a situation where someone were to pass away without children, um, but let's do mi'un first. Sorry. So if a father is able to marry off his daughter while she's a minor, that is doraita. You need to get to kishta. The father passed away, the mother or brother can marry her off. It's a marriage debanan, and she can use her refusal clause, it's called mi'un, to get out of the marriage. But only kedun while she's a minor. Once she hits adulthood, she needs a get. What's chalitza? Chalitza is if a man passes away without children, his wife is supposed to marry his brother to continue the family name. If for whatever reason one of them refuses, they have to do a process called chalitza. They take off her shoe, she kisses it, she spits in it, and she has to announce this man does not want to continue his brother's name. Okay. So whenever there's a refusal, which means she's a minor, there's no chalitza because she's not eligible for yibum. She's too young. And ever there's a chalitza, there's no mi'un because she's an adult. There's no such thing as a freeze of that age. Rahim said, Yesh mi'un mikum chalitza. There is a situation where she's about 10. He says, until what age can a girl do mi'un? Until she has 2 hairs. Until she has multiple, a lot of hair. Okay. Any chag that has a tekiah, which means shofar. They used to blow shofar before Shabbat. Ein havdalah. There's no havdalah. Whenever there is havdalah, and tekiah, they don't blow shofar. Yom Tov Shachal Erev Shabbat. So what does that mean? So basically, when is there shofar, there's no havdalah. If there's a hag before Shabbat on Friday, tokin v'lo mavdalin. You make shofar, but you don't make havdalah because Shabbat is entering afterward. The most is Shabbat mavdalin lo tokin. If there is a havdalah, there's no shofar. It's a case where there is a chag after Shabbat. We do not blow the shofar. because it's Chag, but we do say Havdalah. Okay. Ketzma Gdin, how do you think Havdalah when Shabbat goes into Chag? Mavdil ben Kodesh LeKodesh, that's according to Tanakh. It doesn't matter, it says no. Ben Kodesh Hamor LeKodesh Hakal. We do not say that, we say a first opinion. Okay, how do you blow shofar before Chag? That besides from Friday Erev Shabbat. Amar Vida, Tokia Umaria mitoch Tekia. You blow Tekia, and then you teruah within the amount of time you take a Tekia. Rabbi Yossi Amar, Tokia Umaria min shima achat. You do Tekia and teruah one breath. Adkin Rab Asi behutzal k'mater. Rab Asi told his town who's like his opinion. Maybe I'm told Shahal Shabbat. Tokim lo mira'in. The question: if a Chag falls on Erev Shabbat, we blow shofar but not teruah. Tekia not teruah. My love limiting constantly no teruah at all. Question: the Gemara says la. It's not proof. Review the Tar Salmeh, but Rav asking Tar Salmeh. They each have an answer according to their opinion. Review that in Tar Salmeh. Review that explains his own opinion. Lo mere'in b'fnei asma elim toch tekiah. Now, we don't make it Torah by itself, but we blow it within the tekiah. Rav asking Tar Salmeh, he also explains it has its own reason. Lo mere'in b'shen mishimat odin achat. You don't blow Torah with a separate breath, but rather within the same single breath as tekiah. Okay, Mishan said, Motzei Shabbat, regarding Motzei Shabbat. Hechi Amar La, where does he say Hamagdim ben Kodesh LeKodesh? Amar Dam Hamid says it's the last end of the bracha of Hamdulillah, like we said. Like we do. Bechinam Bar Nachman had Masud Yisrael. Rav Hishdat bereded of Idi Amar Af Pitata. You say even in the beginning, Hamagdim ben Kodesh LeKodesh, when Kodesh LeKodesh. We let Hagazak Batet, but we don't hold like that. Okay, Rabbi Yossi ben Kodesh Hamur Beglij Zakal. He says, Rabbi Yossi says that you say Havdalah by saying from Shabbat to Chag, from holy kadosh to less holy kadosh. That Kavateh we don't have like him. Mar Bizera. You don't tell Shahadat the inside Shabbat. If Chag falls in the middle of the week, Omer had been Kodesh Chol, you say him to Kodesh Chol in the Chag. Ben Orla Choshech Bnei Yisrael, I mean, between the light and the dark, between Bnei Yisrael and the nations. Uben Yom Shvi Shema said between the seventh day and 11 days. My time, why do you have to mention the separation? Consider that the Lot Moneh, we're mentioning other separations mentioned in the Torah. So we have Kadosh and Chol, night and night, the day, dark and night, nations and Bnei Israel, and days of the week and Shabbat. That's why we're mentioning it. We're mentioning adding them, and that's why we mentioned over here.